Rival Sports Pod, covering the New York sports scene and behind the scenes, including the Buffalo Bills, New York Jets, New York Mets, and everything else in New York sports worth your precious time. And now here's Joe Pastor and Glenn Ferretti.
Action by the defensive lineman.
Yeah, so that's the whole thing that I have is the Bills fans have no problem just going on a rampage about the horse collar tackle that wasn't called, but the flop they have no problem with that he got the penalty and the half the distance to the goal for that. It's like you can't have it both ways. Like you either get calls or you don't.
Well, it's not both ways. It's the same situation. The situation in today's NFL is you can't touch the quarterback. Period. Especially if it's a good quarterback. Like you guys, it's absurd. The Jets never get roughing the passer calls in their favor.
Yeah, I know.
But when you're playing a good quarterback, that's a penalty. So how?
I don't know though. But is that really the guy like he wants to be known as the flopper of the NFL?
Brady did it.
Yeah, I don't know.
No one cares.
He's really taken flopping to a new level.
When Brady cheats and when Brady flops, nobody cares.
Yeah, no, I'm not. I think a lot of people care. I think a lot of people you care when the Brady cheats. Yeah. I just think the guy's so talented and like LeBron's like the king flopper, but he's known for it. Yeah. Like Josh Allen's definitely getting a name for flopping in the NFL.
Yeah, and it's smart because that's the way the NFL is structured. So like that's my point is if the NFL is set up in such a way that you can't abuse the quarterback, how is a horse collar tackle not called when it's right in front of the official and his jersey is ripped like he's Hulk Hogan? Okay. And then it turns into intentional grounding when Gabe Davis was in the area.
Yeah, I don't think anyone's debating that call. I mean, that one was pretty clear, but it wasn't the front of the jersey, right? It was the back or the front ripped. But yeah,
and then he was all over his collar. Like a horse collar is in the back, not in the front. That's what some people don't understand. Horse collar is the back of the shirt. He was all over his collar. Like anywhere on the collar was crushed. So like how that was missed, and then not only missed, but turned into a penalty against the Bills that shouldn't have been a penalty because there was a receiver in the area.
That was brutal. It was definitely a brutal call. You can't argue that.
But that being said, like officials are going to make mistakes too. So like I could say, okay, the players, right? You guys, made a few, maybe didn't convert in some big situations, but overall the players performed. 500 yards, 30 points should be enough to win.
Right.
Officials, they're
especially when you've only given up 10 at the half.
Officials, you're human. You're going to make some mistakes. That was bad. What we see and like what I've like started to notice back like when the Bills lost the first Kansas City playoff game in the championship, not 13 seconds the year before, when McDermott was ultra conservative, kicking field goals, not going for it on fourth down when you couldn't contain offenses back then, and they end up losing that game, was that McDermott cannot win these big games. It just does not happen. He hurts them. And your coach is someone that like when you're in these situations, your coach should show you why he's the coach, that he knows more, that he's going to contribute in some way, somehow to help you win, and not only fail to do that, but continuously make decisions that help you lose.
Yep. Yeah, I 100% agree. I have a few points on that. But yeah, I mean, and obviously Josh Allen played his ass off, so this isn't even the week to bash him as fun as it is. I know he threw that interception. But, I know you say the coach isn't winning in overtime, but neither is Allen. Allen's 0-6 in overtime games under McDermott. So
under who?
He definitely under McDermott.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so they own it. They own it together. Yeah. I mean, the players play, the coaches coach.
But he's one player, and he's the head coach.
Yeah, it's not a record you want on your resume in close games and one score games, and that's been the Bills' downfall. But speaking of the coaching, I talked about this with a few people already today. I'm glad we got together. I thought you were ducking me yesterday after that performance. I thought maybe you needed a day to kind of reconvene and get your mind right before today. But I'm glad we are talking about it. Like I watch the Bills way more now since we've started the podcast. Like I definitely watched a lot of the games, but watching McDermott decide to use a timeout to ice a kicker on a 59-yard field goal and not just ice a kicker, like ice a veteran kicker that's been in the league forever, does it time in, time out. The guy simply went to the sidelines, took a few warm-up kicks. It probably helped him because he got to get warm for a second, took a few kicks and came through and nailed it. But not only did he ice him, he took a timeout out of his quarterback's hands that would have had 20 seconds left on the 25-yard line with 2 timeouts, and all you needed to do was kick a field goal. Don't even tell me Andy Reid would ever have done. He would have went for it with 1 timeout. McDermott took a timeout away from Allen and still didn't go for it. He would have had 2 timeouts with Josh Allen to get a field goal, and he took a knee. The guy took a knee.
And Josh Allen playing at alien or superhero level, Josh Allen.
Yeah, like, that game
that was a Josh Allen game. Like, I know he had a great game against Miami, but like this game was that game that makes the Bills fans look at Josh Allen and say, this guy's special, this guy's the best, and almost worship the guy. But Sean McDermott just so cowardly, and he's just so gutless, and it's such a foolish decision, because not only are all those other things you said true about the timeout, the Eagles had to rush the defense off the field and get the kicking
offense,
team. Rush the offense off the field.
Yeah,
get the special teams back on for the play clock. They had to rush a 59-yard field goal. He let them take their time.
In the pouring rain.
And it's just how gutless can someone be? You know, I compared, you know, the Philadelphia Eagles for being gutless and spineless to my spatchcock turkey for Thanksgiving. But speaking of which, but it's really what's his name? McDermott is the gutless and spineless one, and Santa has a gift here for McDermott.
Oh, I might enjoy this one.
It's a set of balls. Why would McDermott need a pair of balls? I don't understand, because I know he has a wrestling background. I wasn't aware that McDermott had a baseball background. So why he would need a pair of balls is beyond me. But these are weighted practice balls.
Beautiful. Yeah. I think it's past him needing balls. Like, this guy's got to go, dude. He's holding back, this team right now. This team is really struggling, and a lot of it comes back to coaching decisions.
Yes.
It's just crazy. I mean, I know they won that Tampa Bay game, but the guy punted 4 times on the 40-yard line and basically almost gave them a chance to win that game. Barely, the Giants, they survived, against some horrible coaching by McDermott.
So,
like, dude, it's like they have to shake things up and change something.
If you don't lose to the Jets, if you don't lose to Denver, if you don't lose to New England, this loss is not a big deal. Even if you only lose one of those games, this loss, you could still get by and say, okay, Eagles are a great team. That was a great game. It sucks. We're mad, but we're still in this. But like so much of this, is on McDermott, and I'm just afraid we're not going to get rid of him.
I don't think you will. But really, we're at the point of the game where really we're just entering overtime. All that happened, and they were still lucky enough to be in a tie game because of the kneel down. I know you mentioned it earlier, but the Bills driving down the field and the quote unquote miscommunication. Like, in my mind, just being completely unbiased, I know that the players took the high road. That's 1,000% on Gabe Davis. Like, there's no doubt in my mind. He even said we practiced it for 4 years. If there's an all-out blitz coming, which is very easily readable on that play, and he's one-on-one, once you're even with that defensive back, Allen's throwing the ball straight down the field, and you got to go get it. Like, there's absolutely no reason why your choice route would be a corner route in that situation when they have an all-out blitz coming. Like, he's got one-on-one. He's going straight. Gabe Davis made the wrong read, not Allen, and that's the reason why it was incomplete.
Yeah, someone else said similar things, and what they said was the only way that's Allen's fault is if he had enough time to read the defender's shoulder, which he wouldn't have because it was an all-out blitz and people were coming at him unblocked.
Right, and those guys have been playing together for 4 years and could see that they were sending pressure. They probably watched tape, right, that they blitz a lot. They're going to be sending the house.
And even if you weren't playing together, they said what Davis could have done or should have known to do was look over his shoulder before he broke to know which way to go. That he should have looked. He didn't look back soon enough. So
Yeah.
it probably was more on Davis. But yeah, Josh is never going to throw anyone under the bus.
No, I mean, he doesn't need to. I mean, most people could tell that, like, if you're past the guy already and one of the choice routes is just to keep running against an all-out blitz, you probably should look for the football because chances are it's coming. Like, I really can't figure out what the reasoning would be to run a corner route there unless, like you said, he had a lot of time. But it wasn't a situation that they were going to have a lot of time. It was third and a couple yards, and they were gonna. I think it was 3rd and 7 again. They had a million 3rd and 7s. And they were going to have to make a quick play.
But hey, Gabe Davis is a hell of a blocker.
Yeah, he's a hell of a blocker. He actually had a better game than expected, but obviously crunch time is more important.
Well, and that's Gabe Davis for you, is that, and he had a really nice play on that, on the touchdown pass that Allen had to put some pepper on. And I was actually surprised he caught it. But that's why Gabe Davis is so frustrating, is he shows sometimes that he has potential to make plays, but does not seem to have the ability to consistently make them.
Yeah, or make the big play in the time it's needed. But yeah, I mean, that didn't even end the game. You guys obviously kicked the field goal there, was successful after a couple misses.
Another piece, before we jump ahead, another interesting thing on that play, it was 3rd and 7. The Bills, someone said, why wouldn't the Bills do something short? Run the ball, run a draw with Allen to try to get short yardage and try to convert 4th down. I'm not sure I necessarily agree with that, but I do understand that.
But why? They had the right play call.
Yeah, it was true.
I mean, it was wide open.
Because you knew, and I felt, and I think I texted you during the game, once they kicked the field goal that the game was over, I knew that they couldn't stop the Eagles. They had scored on whatever it was, 4 of their 5 last possessions.
Yeah, but I mean, how sad is that with a defensive head coach? Is that you have that feeling, because I think they give up, 28 point? I don't know, something big in the second half. So I get where you're coming at, but they were also up 3 and, coming onto the field, and the defense looked completely unprepared and playing like the softest coverage ever.
Because they did have, I understand the soft coverage, except when it was like 3rd and 6. When it was 3rd and 6 and you had those 2 false starts, that was the time to put some pressure on them, or that was the time to play some press man, or do both.
Well, that was the field goal.
Or do both.
But you're right, on 3rd down.
Yeah, on 3rd down.
They did. They stopped them, but then they kicked that long field goal. Yeah, that was the
the conversion before. So it was before. Oh, I'm sorry, it was before the false starts. I think he threw the first down to, I think it was AJ Brown.
Oh yeah,
on that play is when I thought they should have, because he showed that he would do it. He did it against Denver. He did it against Denver twice. He went with a cover 0 twice in a row. Like Russell Wilson wasn't going to figure it out.
Yeah, I mean, you looked at the passes that Jalen Hurts was making down the field in overtime, and they were just like soft touch passes. Guys running wide open through zones. It's not like he was threading the needle on these passes, dude. I mean, these guys were open.
Yeah.
I mean, I think a long first down they converted. He was wide open on a little out route to the right. They weren't defending the sidelines at all correctly. It just looked like a complete disaster out there. And obviously the big play before Hurts scampered in, which Micah Hyde decided to go with the karate kick. So I got the Cobra Kai hat on tonight for Micah Hyde with that trashy little sweep maneuver he tried to pull out on him.
Yeah, I know a guy that he thinks Micah Hyde is one of the dirtiest players in the NFL.
Well, I mean, I think he proved that a point, like there's nothing you're doing there that's going to save a touchdown, and you're still trying to trip the guy.
It goes back to when Jamison Crowder was on the Jets, when Hyde wrecked him on the sideline. I don't know if you remember, but it goes back to that. But back to the
Micah Hyde, though, he's the beginning of the end for Alan Lazard. I don't know if you saw that tweet after the Bills-Jets game last week, that when the Jets were down by a ton, Lazard was pretty much in the end zone after a play, like laughing and joking around with Micah Hyde. And it's like, dude, just get this guy out of here. Yeah. Like that's pathetic.
The other thing where the Bills were completely unprepared was the quarterback draw to win the game. Whoever one of the tackles is on the Eagles said, once the Bills showed us that look, we knew we were going to score. because they rolled the safety away. That's why Hyde had to run over and try to slide tackle him, or karate kick, as you say.
Yeah.
But how do the Bills not know that's not coming?
Yeah, they've run it like 10 times already.
So it's just like there's no words. There's no words.
I didn't even. Yeah, I mean, I hated the defense, and then I hated the press conference after. Watched a little bit of McDermott's press conference, and he was just so even demeanor, dude.
Yeah.
Like after that game, you would think the emotion in that game, hey, more power to him if he can get his emotions in check. But man, it would have been nice to see a guy freaking pissed off at the end of the game, the way that thing ended. They had two 10-point leads in that game.
Yeah.
And give up a 59-yard field goal and then a winning touchdown in overtime. This team just keeps finding ways to lose.
And that's actually, I've listened to some people. I thought maybe we could talk about this a little bit, about some of how the national media has explained or talked about the game. And that's what Nick Wright said. Nick Wright said, who Bill's hater, said Allen outplayed Hurts, but the Eagles find ways to win and the Bills find ways to lose. So that sadly is what happens. And I think a lot of the finding ways to lose, like we said, is on McDermott.
Yeah, I mean it's a pretty true statement, right? The team's gritty, and they win close games. I think most of the Eagles' games have been close. Can't remember the one team that beat them though.
Oh yeah. I think I know who that was.
Seems like 10 years ago at this point.
I know it does. It seems like it's 10 years ago since since the Jets played Miami this week.
I know, yeah.
Doesn't that seem like it's so long ago?
Pretty unwatchable. I saw a thing that said it was interesting that the Jets decided to roll out Black Friday Zach Wilson for the game. In Tim Boyle, the 25% off Zach Wilson. He was an absolute disaster as well. I mean, I love it how Sal is just running him out there again. We pretty much have no idea what to do. I mean, there's not much that happened in that game that's even worth talking about. Garrett Wilson was celebrating his touchdown like we won the Super Bowl. It's just bad in New York right now.
It is. What else was bad was I was really disappointed with Orlovsky. You know, I like to talk about him, and he really had nothing to add or insights that weren't completely obvious about the game. The only thing he said was, with the injuries to the Bills' defenses, that turnovers are very costly. Is what I took away from him, is how he kind of explained the game, but that didn't seem to tell the full story.
Well, what was did the Bills win the turnover battle too?
I know, but he said,
I was going to say, I know he threw interception and a fumble.
But his point was, even one turnover for the Bills could be very costly because you can't count on the defense.
Well, I know one guy that's not forcing any turnovers, but they keep running him out there, is Von Miller.
Yeah. I mean, the best he did was he pushed the line a little bit. That was
they showed one play where he just it was supposed to be just rushing the passer, and he just ran into the line. He just is completely washed out there. They can't be running him out there much longer.
One more year they could cut him.
One more year, he shouldn't play anymore this year. I think
just sit him down.
His stats are
he hasn't done anything.
He's doing nothing. I think he had one. He has one tackle or something. It's
he
insane.
Hasn't done anything.
Yeah, so I mean, at some point, that's why you're losing games, because you're starting washed players that can't even do anything. I mean, at some point, you got to make a change. But you're gonna probably think this is absolutely crazy, but I'm gonna have a win-win situation coming up on the Bills rest of the season.
Okay.
And I know I've talked about this the last couple weeks, but the Bills futures for the betting lines just keeps getting better and better for people that want to take some action on the Buffalo Bills. So this would be an interesting status. I guess statistically right now, the Bills are the best 6-6 team in NFL history. From a point differential situation, touchdowns situation. They're statistically one of the best teams that have ever been 6-6. So right now, you can get the Bills to make the playoffs at plus 500. So 5-1 on your money just to make the playoffs. And then for the Bills to win the AFC Championship is plus 4,000, and to win the Super Bowl is plus 5,000. I mean, so you're essentially getting statistically one of the best teams in the NFL at 50 to 1 to win the Super Bowl. So what I've done is place 3 wagers, one on each. So essentially, if they make the playoffs, which is still going to be a stretch, I think they have to win every game except for one.
Or win them all.
You're free rolling.
Yeah.
You're free rolling the championship and the Super
New
Bowl.
York Times has the Bills, I think, at 14% to make the playoffs.
Yeah, but I mean, right now we're sitting at 6-6. There's a lot of games to be played.
Correct.
It's not like the last week of the game or the season. So now
they were 7-6. The year of 13 seconds, they were 7-6, and they were calling for Dable's head.
Oh yeah. So you're arguably getting. Really, I mean, I know they lost to the Eagles, but they crushed the Jets, a team that's arguably played its best offensive football of the season outside of like the Commanders game that was just a 1 out of like 10 that they played. This one, these last 2 games have been some of their strongest offense, and you're going to get some amazing odds for them to potentially go on a run and make the playoffs.
Yeah, crazy things happen. And I saw something crazy happen this Saturday. People who follow professional wrestling there's a guy named CM Punk, was big in the WWE 15 years ago, did a couple UFC fights. He lost them both, but he survived, came back, had a live mic on TV and just ripped Vince McMahon, called him a bully, angered him to the extent that Vince called CM Punk on his honeymoon to fire him.
Really?
That's how much he hated him. So he was out of professional wrestling for 7-8 years, and then joined at AEW, the new upstart promotion, and this is his last chance. Well, he got in a fight with 2 of the guys who are wrestlers and executive vice presidents, kicked their ass in the locker room, was suspended, came back, got in another fight with Luke Perry, the same Luke Perry from 90210, with his son.
I was going to say, I don't think he got in a fight with the real Luke Perry.
Yeah, he's deceased, sadly. But whooped his son in the locker room, and then finally got fired. She's like, oh, we're never going to see this guy again. He has nowhere left to go. And then where does he show up? Was at Survivor Series. So hell froze over there. It's obviously the world of wrestling, but no one would have thought that would have happened, and it did. So the Bills, maybe they could go 6-0, and you could win a lot of money.
Yeah, I mean, I don't even think they need to go 6-0. I think that they don't have 6 games.
5.
Yeah, 5-0. I think they need to go 4-1, and they'll have a shot
some
because
help.
you got the Houstons of the world, so you don't know how they're going to finish. Like, they're still playing a rookie quarterback. You got the Browns, who are potentially playing Joe Flacco in a spot,
and they're at the Rams this week. So Browns are at the Rams.
You got the Steelers. Like, they're not really impressing anyone. So
Steelers could lose to the Cardinals this week, right?
Yeah, the teams at the bottom of the AFC potentially could fall off.
Colts are in the playoff picture.
Yeah, the Colts are in the. So that's what I'm saying. Is like there's still a shot, and you're getting the team at 5-1 money. Yeah. I mean, obviously, the biggest thing for the Bills is their schedule. The way I look at it is, for them to go 4-1, like, they obviously have to beat the Chargers and they have to beat New England
and Miami, and
then they play Miami, Kansas City, and Dallas. So
Miami can't beat good teams.
No, I know. No, I don't. Yeah, Miami. I mean, yeah, we could talk about Miami, but ideal situation just based on their AFC record is they need to beat Kansas City and Miami because Dallas is out of conference.
So if you lose a game,
it wouldn't hurt them as much.
Yeah, if you lose a game, that's the game you lose.
But I'm thinking I got to think 10-7 is going to make it into the playoffs.
But see, right now,
their AFC record is just horrendous.
It is horrendous, but 10-7 right now, Steelers are 7-4, Browns are 7-4, so they probably lose those tiebreakers. Texans are maybe. Texans are 6-5, Colts are 6-5, and Broncos are 6-5.
Yeah, I mean, you could easily see the Browns go on a slide if they lost Myles Garrett and a quarterback.
That's true.
Like, they got housed by the Broncos this week. Like, that could be a team that loses 5 of 6 down the stretch. Any crazy thing could happen. Well, that's what I mean. Just so, are you a believer in the Colts? Are you a believer in the Texans? Obviously, I'm not. I don't have a magic wand, but if I'm going to take a wager, I'm going to take a team that statistically is one of the strongest teams to ever play the game to potentially go on a run. It reminds me of the Bengals a few years back when they made that run to the Super Bowl. They were kind of a 500, a little bit above 500 team for the beginning of the season, and then went on a massive run. So I don't know. It's good odds, good money, I think, to be out there to be made.
Anything could happen.
Yeah, I love it how you're so down on it. Maybe I should. So I look at it as a win-win for me because it's a small wager that I could win a lot.
Yeah.
And if the Bills get there and then they lose, I'm still happy. So it's like, it's a win-win.
Yeah. No, that's great. It's great for you. It's great for you. It's great for you. I could see it from your point of view. I have faith in the Buffalo Bills. I don't have faith in Sean McDermott.
Yeah, so you're 100% out on making the playoffs.
No, I think the New York Times is right, about 14%. I think if there was 100 universes, I think the Bills probably make the playoffs in 10, 15 of them.
Yep. They'd probably. Yeah, probably. I mean, obviously, the biggest game, the must win is Kansas City.
I see the way in is going on a tear and winning out the rest of the year.
Yeah, do you actually see that happening, or you're
10%? And I think the other 4 to 5% is maybe getting lucky with the tiebreaker.
Yeah, I think they need to put the game so far out of reach that McDermott can't cost them the game.
Yeah.
That's their best chance to take advantage of. And I actually thought that was going to happen against the Eagles because, I mean, going into the second half, I mean, even with the 10-point lead, like they really looked like they were controlling the game, and then it completely flipped on its head. To where they were able to get back into it.
Well, that's why the horse collar was a big deal, because the field goal got blocked and then you scored a touchdown. So you lost.
Yeah, the field goal block was massive.
Lost between 3 and 7 points because of that no call on the horse collar.
Yeah. I agree, but you got to make those field goals.
Oh yeah. You do, and they
was he hurt? Is he hurt? Is that what you were saying?
They haven't said anything, no, but they gave him he got a big contract. Was it last year or the year before? And he hasn't been. He started out the season well, and probably the past, I don't know, 4 or 5 games, he's been missing them.
Yeah, maybe the Eagles fans got to him like they got to those defensive linemen,
like Jordan Phillips
fighting him in the crowd. Yeah, Ed Oliver and them. I mean, you got to know the Philly scumbags are out. You got to just walk away.
It's been more of a thing, though, because it happened with the Jets. It happened in the NBA. Someone on the Clippers was getting into it pretty good, where security and players had to come over to separate it.
Yeah, I know it happens a bunch, but man, it's just
remember when who was it? Was it the Pistons or someone that like ran into the crowd and was like fighting the fans? Remember that was like 10 years ago.
It was Ron Artest.
Yeah.
The malice at the palace. That was incredible. It was a great 30 for 30 on that.
Yeah, and
actually, you know what I was watching the other day, since we're in our 40s here, was the Barry Sanders special on Amazon Prime. Have you watched that?
I have not. How is it?
Oh, you got to watch it. Guy's just incredible. I mean, his stats from like his junior year in college was like 2,700 yards rushing, 35 touchdowns. It's like unbelievable. And he wasn't even the number 1 pick. It's insane.
And how he could reverse the field the way he did, and it would like work, is amazing. Because like, when does that ever work?
Oh, it's insane, because they show so many highlights of his career in this. And just the whole backstory of his retirement. I won't ruin the thing for you, but it's great. It's great to watch, and just from his first touchdown, watching him hand the ball to the first ever NFL touchdown, handing the ball to the ref for his entire career is just
classy.
The guy's the most humble person. Yeah, and some of the things he did in his career, from just a humble spot and just a more of a team guy. Like, it's crazy. Like, he just doesn't fit with the NFL players now, who are all about me and my stats and my records and all that. You got to watch it.
Stashing turkey legs in the Salvation Army
I didn't see that.
Was it the Cowboys that did that? I think it was the Cowboys. I think
something happened with the turkey leg in the Green Bay Detroit game or something like that. I don't know what I forget what happened. I wish I could remember, but they didn't have him at the end of the game. And Jordan Love asked hey, where's
where's my turkey
ceremony? They've been doing this for ever. I'll have to look that up later. But yeah, they didn't do the turkey celebration at the end of the game for the first time. And I remember what it was. Now I remember. So apparently they branded on the turkey legs the Detroit Lions symbol ahead of time.
Come on.
I don't know if they just assumed that they were going to win or not, or they just say, hey, it's a Detroit game. And they decided to not hand them to them and not hand them out because they thought it would cause an issue. And
you think?
Yeah, they didn't do it. So I wish they would have handed him a Lion's turkey leg. That would have been hilarious.
Maybe can you just cut that off?
I know. I don't know. Maybe they branded it all over the place.
So deeply.
They went brand happy. Maybe they branded the breast. Who knows? Yeah. Well, unfortunately, your prediction didn't come true this week. So you got a prediction for the Kansas City game?
No.
Nothing.
We'll save that.
Dynamite drop in.
Save
there,
that.
Joe.
I want to save that for next week because a few things. I think we're on to a big story for next week in the Buffalo Bills. I had a question from Pat in Greece, and he's a season ticket holder, and apparently he wanted to know if we knew anything about this situation. So I want to look into this. The Buffalo Bills season ticket holders were supposed to be able to get a 3D rendition of the stadium to choose their seats early on, and that hasn't happened. The people that were supposed to do it, I guess that department has been eliminated, and they're pretty hush on what's going on there. So he was wondering if we think there's a financial problem in Buffalo or what's going on with these season ticket.
It's like a case of The Office. They downsized the whole department.
Yeah, so that's a little unusual, but Pat, we're going to get to your question, but I think that's going to take some research and see what we can do.
I think it's a few years away, right? When's the stadium going to be done? I mean, it's just rubble right now. I mean, I seen the hole dug when I went to the last game.
I think
after the 25 season or something.
They found a guy in the ditch. I think he was passed out with on all sorts of narcotics.
Oh, really?
There. Yeah, half naked.
Hopefully he wasn't in charge of season tickets.
Yeah, right. But yeah, I guess you're supposed to be able to choose them, and that hasn't happened, and the communication hasn't been good. So, wonder what's going on there with the Pagulas.
Well, the Jets have no problem with their season ticket communication. From all I read on Twitter, it's once they've started their downfall, they sent their season ticket renewals with a 10% increase in prices for the following year. And people are what timing on this package coming out?
Yeah.
So I don't know. Maybe a bunch of teams need help in their season ticket
and it's
department.
What they think. My cousin used to live in Vegas, and he got season tickets to the Knights. And he's we used to get a cool gift. It would be autographed hockey puck for each one. And it could be anybody. It wasn't always a star, obviously. He goes, but the prices kept going up. And then the last year they gave us a scarf. Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Which hockey season tickets, that's a lot of money. That's 40 something games,
Yeah. I feel I've seen,
scarf,
I feel that's crazy. I feel I've seen Vegas, season tickets unveiling for the football team. And it's a pretty sick package.
Yeah.
But yeah, those tickets are probably pretty damn expensive too. Yeah. I don't know. That's crazy. But yeah, I don't know, man. You guys are in an interesting spot. That's for sure. You got a coach that we don't really know what the hell to do with. Yeah, quarterback playing really well. And still losing games. At the end of the day, that's all that really matters. Got to find a way here for the last 5 weeks to win some ball games.
And it's going to have to be Josh because Colin Cowart, to get back to what people have been saying about him, he was almost critical, the Bills prove they're still Josh Allen dependent. Okay.
I know, but they're not winning. I mean, that's to me as a fan, I would be that would make me more scared because it's not these last couple games he's playing poorly. I know he had the one turnover against the Jets, but it was like a Hail Mary. And then this game, he did have a bad turnover. That was a terrible pass. But it's not, it wasn't 2-3 turnovers in the game. So they're still losing, and he's not turning the ball over. Like, that would make me more concerned.
It's obviously not him why they're losing.
No, but I'm saying he can't even carry them to victory. That's a problem.
Yeah, as long as I think you have the coaching, and because you can't say they can't run the ball, because since Brady took over, they're running the ball well, or at least
they had a couple swing passes to Cook as well, even though there was a massive hold on that one that nobody remembers, of course, as well, that sprung him. But the offense is not an issue. I mean, anyone that's talking about the Bills' offense being an issue now,
not anymore.
They're nuts, and really, it wasn't the defense. The last 4 or 5 games. I mean, we've been talking about it, but when it really mattered, when they had a lead, they couldn't protect it and couldn't hold it against the Eagles, which is a massive game. I mean, that was very close to the make or break season game. It might wind up being the make or break season game when we look back. I'm not sure.
They got away with it against the Giants. They got away with it against Tampa. They didn't get away with it against New England, and you sure as hell aren't going to get away with it when you're playing a team as talented as the Philadelphia Eagles.
Yeah, no. And I mean, they've lost so many games that they shouldn't have lost this year. Obviously the Jets being one. Yeah, you mentioned it. New England. Who was the other bad loss? Oh, Denver. Yeah, that was a disaster too. So, I don't know. You haven't seen this in a while, but like we said, the Bills find a new way. Seems like every week it's something new.
We're going to see Glenn. So the new thing is we're going to see Glenn cheering for the Buffalo Bills.
I think it's going to be a combination of both. I do want them to advance into the playoffs, because then it makes the heartbreak so much better. Like, could you imagine going on a 5-0 run or 4-1 run? You guys get into the playoffs. Everybody's got their wagons out. They're circling Rochester, Buffalo, Syracuse area, and then there's another form of the 13 seconds.
Everybody's got their Bill stuff on again. No one wore their Bill stuff to work on Monday. I did.
Oh God, it was nobody even talked about the game at my work. Normally you could at least talk about it, but we're reaching the point of not really talking about it anymore. I was even uncomfortable bringing it up on conference calls, so I stayed out of it. Normally I'm the first one to speak up, but we needed sales that day, so I didn't want to kill the mood. It was already killed the night before.
Okay.
But not as many as Brian Cole would say, not as many Go Bills at the local Sunoco and Wegmans this week.
But
I think it's more.
Do you know what we do need? We need some like and subscribes. So if you're still listening, like and subscribe.
Subscribe. Tell your friends. Leave a comment. It helps us. Help us grow the podcast.
And thanks to everybody who watched the Thanksgiving video. It was the most viewed video of all time, and also shared on our TikTok channel. Got over 5,000 views, a ton of shares. On Facebook, it got over 500 views. So, thanks to everyone who watched it. And
we're everywhere. That's great. Check us out on TikTok, on Facebook, Instagram. We're everywhere.
And last question, I don't know if it's really a question, but Paul in HFL wanted to know if we had plans on getting back on Spotify.
We definitely can. I have to look at the subscription. And we can probably start uploading on there again.
He said he likes to listen to it. He says he listens to it all the time, driving in his car or going for a walk or whatever, and doesn't like to have to keep his phone open on the YouTube.
It's a great suggestion.
Is what he said. So he said, when are we getting back?
Yeah, that's not too hard. I could definitely we could definitely take that away.
So Paul, we heard you. So we hope to get you back.
All right, when we get it on, tell your friends.
All right,
buddy. Well, we'll talk next week.
All right, man. See ya.
Thank you for listening to Rival Sports Pod. Please make sure to like and subscribe on YouTube or wherever you listen to your podcast. You can also email us at rivalsportspod@gmail.com with any topics, ideas, or questions.